begun. The podcast has. On this week's episode of Cartoon Buffoons, I'm Wyatt, and who is here with me today, as always?
Hello, I'm Morgan, and I'm the secret non-binary child you find on Mortis.
And who is here today as our very special guest?
Kitt is here today, and
Yeah.
I can't follow up non-binary child on Mortis. I try to think of something quippy.
Feel no bit pressure.
Okay.
No bit pressure.
Yeah, it's very rare that guests are like, oh yeah, no, I got one locked in, before.
Yeah.
I should honestly ask them most of the time before, we do our
It's
stupid
like, hey,
podcast.
are you bit-
like if they
are you
have
bit
like
ready?
a bit
Do you have a bit?
or
Yeah.
something, but that's how it is. But awesome. We're here to talk about Star Wars: The Clone Wars, not Clone Wars, which we already talked about like over a year ago, which is kind of fucking crazy how long we've been doing Cartoon Buffoons. And we still got a lot more to go, so everybody buckle in.
We're at 2008. It's wild how much we have left to go.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy how much ground we've covered, and it's also crazy how much ground we haven't even covered. And I guess we did take a couple like month-long breaks with like the Nickelodeon month in April and the Adult Swim month in like June or July or whatever the hell we did it. But yeah, no, we're here. We're finally talking about. This is one I was afraid of the entire time because it's long.
It's long.
It's too long.
It's Star Wars, so there's a lot of baggage to sort through. But I'm glad that we have a fan to come on and talk about it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what Cartoon Network in general, like if that means anything to you, and then also like what this show specifically means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Cartoon Network did mean something to me as a kid just because I was a cartoon kid in general growing up. I think I'm around the same ages as both of you. So, like, I grew up in, like, the 90s, early 2000s. So, like, I grew up on, like, Golden Era SpongeBob and, other Cartoon Network shows.
Ed, and Eddie.
I think my favorite of all time was Foster's, which, by the way, I loved your Foster's episode with Velvet. That was so fun to listen to. Yeah. So, yeah, Foster's. I loved Adventure Time. And I was like on the ground floor when that was like first started airing.
Same, brother.
Yeah, that was special stuff. But like, yeah, Cartoon Network just has a lot of like really. It has a great history, and it has like a lot of heavy hitters that like I even like completely forgot about until you two started covering them, and I was just like, oh yeah, that was a good show. So yeah, that's kind of like my history with like cartoons and Cartoon Network in general. When it comes to Star Wars, I mean, or specifically the Clone Wars, like it kind of. I think it just goes hand in hand that like if you were a Star Wars kid, there was a chance that like you already knew about the Clone Wars. I was sort of on the ground floor when this first started airing on Cartoon Network, but also not. I saw the movie in theaters with my family when it first came out, and I didn't have time to rewatch the Clone Wars movie because it's just like an extra, I don't know, 90 minutes of I didn't have time for, and also the Clone Wars movie is a movie. Yeah, and like, yeah. The only important things that it establishes is like the introduction of Ahsoka and Rex and the others, and like that's kind of it. The whole like Jabba's son thing is whatever. But like I do like Christophsis. I think that's a pretty planet, but other than that, it's just kind of like okay, yeah, sure. So I saw, I saw the movie in theaters, and then the Clone Wars was one of those shows where it's just like. I was a Star Wars kid, but I didn't actively seek it out, if that makes sense. Like, if I were flipping through channels and the Clone Wars happened to be on, I would watch it. So I had a bunch of, like, out of context, just like, oh, cool, Star Wars is on TV. But, like, I was not, like, following every single episode as it aired as a child. It wasn't until, like, maybe a year or two before or maybe after the sequel trilogy came up where I started having this kind of, like... Star Wars fan renaissance in myself, and that's when I started going back to like rewatch the Clone Wars in full, and this was back in
I feel that.
back when I was like in college, I think. So my morning routine in college would be like, I would get up, I would make myself like an instant bowl of oatmeal, and I would watch a couple of Clone Wars before work.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I binged it back when all of it was on Netflix, like seasons 1 through 6. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For me, it was kind of similar where, I'm sorry for cutting ahead here, but just wanted to say real quick that it was very similar for me that I wasn't a super huge Star Wars fan. Like, I didn't read all the fucking novels about whatever, like, all the whatever random characters from the the extended universe.
I mean, Mara Jade comes to mind. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That stuff.
Yes. So I wasn't like that level of Star Wars fan, but I did enjoy like the original trilogy. I tolerated the existence of the prequels. And then it wasn't until Force Awakens that I was like reevaluating those movies and enjoying it, and like, that's when I actually watched Rebels instead of Clone Wars, just because I'm more interested in that time period than I am the prequel time period. But we can talk about that when we get to the main podcast. Morgan, how about you? What is your history with this show?
I am well documented on not liking Star Wars. I don't like anything about Star. That's not true. I like this show.
Yeah.
And I like the Campaign podcast, and that's it.
Campaign podcast is pretty good.
Campaign podcast is great.
But like this was a show I was like really into when it was airing, and like the later parts of it, because I just liked the way it was done. There's not like a lot of political dramas done on Cartoon Network, so this was very different, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, that is a rare thing. That's still a rare thing. Yeah,
it's still a weird. Yeah, it was just weird to like be so attached to like a Star Wars show when I don't like Star Wars, because it just like the show is really well written, put together. So like I used to watch this a lot, like rewatch this a lot actually, because like it just meant like it was just such a good show. I did think like when like I'm like, okay, maybe I should like give Star Wars another try, and then I started like watching the new movies. I'm like, oh well, no.
Yeah,
no,
you're not a fan. Well, I know we have talked about that, but just for the audience, listening.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of new movies, and not from like a fucking online chud standpoint.
All right, I was gonna say, like, are you gonna reach across the aisle to the Last Jedi guys and be like,
I'm gonna reach across the aisle with a gun in my hand, Wyatt. Yeah, I'll reach across the aisle. All right. No, I think those movies are bad because, like, and I know they don't want me to talk about this. I think they're racist, and they're like, hold on, wait, don't woke.
I don't know if there's any Star Wars movie or thing that isn't kind of racist.
It's baked in. Star Wars is deeply racist.
But
maybe like
it's different. It's different racist though. Yeah, but yeah, like I don't think those chuds would want me on their side because, like, well, you're wokely not liking these movies. Hold on,
right?
But I did find myself coming back to the show over and over again when it was on Netflix. And once it left, I kind of like forgot how much I liked it until we did this rewatch.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to go, man, I do in fact like this show a fuckload.
I do think John Boyega is probably very rightfully still really pissed and bitter about the sequel movies.
Yeah. He should be wrong. He should be allowed to be angry forever.
Yeah.
I think he should. Like,
I remember him like recently talking about it. I'm like, man, it's been like 10 years. And he's still mad. Which I'm not even, again, like, I can't even be like, dude, get over it. It's just like, Jesus Christ, what did they do to him? What did they promise him and then fucking walk back on?
Right.
More so. Yeah.
I saw those movies with me and my friend Vance. And me and my friend Vance saw the first one, like The Force Awakens. We were like, that was pretty good. And we were like on the bus, we were like, a little fucked up, isn't it? It is a little fucked up. Because they did, like, market it as, like, he was, like, a cool, important character. Like, they did. And, like, look, we were like, if it was a white guy who, like, secretly, no, it's about the woman who's the main character, that's cool. That's not done very often.
Right.
But doing that to a black man, it kind of has some connotations to it that suck. And I'm like, I don't know about this one, Scoob.
The problem with those hold on, we're going to get into a whole discussion about the sequel movies, so everybody please be normal in the comments. The problem I have with those movies is that while watching them, you have the expectation, this is the fucking J.J. Abrams little trick, is that because they're setting stuff up in the future and they're this ongoing thing, you are forgiving some mistakes or like mishandling of characters or plot elements or whatever, because there's always another movie that will hopefully like resolve things cleanly or give people their time in the sun. So like in my head, I wasn't really worried about Finn, getting a lightsaber, becoming a Jedi, whatever, because I was like, all right, that's set up here. His arc isn't complete yet. So maybe in the next movie it will be complete. And then it wasn't. But then I was like, okay, The Last Jedi set up all this other cool shit, this new status quo. Hopefully this final movie will bring things all together. And then it just did not do any of that. So,
and you get your Fell For It Again award. You get your Fell For It Again award.
That's the thing. Like, that's what sucks about wanting to enjoy something, is that you just you're put in this holding pattern of, don't worry, the next movie or season or whatever, that will be the one that pays off.
Star Wars, I think, is just an abuse of X.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
So
like,
I've retreated into my 30-year-old white guy-ness of being just like, I just care about the original 3 movies. Yeah. It's fine. That's all that's going to matter to me, But that's not to say that I can't appreciate good stories told in other time periods. Like, if there's... that was like Acolyte was the closest I came to being interested in like a modern Star Wars thing, because I was like,
We're gonna get in trouble.
It takes place in the past. Like, I like that it takes place like before the prequels and everything. But that one was obviously, it's like in my head, it's like clearly the most interesting, right? From like a setup. But I know people love Andor. I'm not giving shit to that. I'm just saying, like, Andor is like,
in the depths of the time period you don't care about. Yes. I will say, White, it's so funny that me and you don't like Star Wars, but we have all the wrong opinions for like online shitheads who don't like Star Wars.
Like 2 things.
Because you're
like,
I don't like Star Wars, but like you like, I don't like Star Wars, but I think the Acolyte's interesting. And I'm like, you say that, and some guy hears you don't like Star Wars, they get excited, and then you say that, and their head explodes. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's the woke show. I'll kill you. And just
that's cool.
I just think Acolyte was neat because, and if I can say this correctly without getting in trouble, Manny Jacinto was sexy as hell in it. I forgot what that show was about. I was just looking at him the entire show. Were you going to say, Kitt? Sorry.
No, you're good. So like 2 things. I feel like we're falling into like the One True Scott problem with Star Wars, where it's just like we actually are being correct fans, and that like every Star Wars fan hates Star Wars. So, like, we're doing it right from a certain point of view. And second thing, tying back, like, I have an opinion about, like, the sequel trilogy, specifically as it relates to, like, cartoons. I feel strongly that Star Wars is at its strongest when it's animated. And I feel like the Clone Wars did a lot of heavy lifting for rehabilitating the image and recontextualizing the prequel trilogy, which is why I really, really, really wish... the people over at the Big Mouse had the guts to revisit the sequel era and just give it the Clone Wars treatment. Give me like a long form cartoon series that's set in the sequel era, post the sequel trilogy, that just like gives them the breathing room and the groundwork to just like really, it kind of like, for lack of a better term, just fix all of the problems with the sequels, because the bones of something really interesting are there in the sequel trilogy. I feel like there's so much missed potential, is like my feelings about the sequel trilogy. And it's just like, if they just picked up the pieces and gave it the Clone Wars treatment and like, I don't know, throw in like a new character that like over time like we grow to love, like that would do a lot to like, I think just like fix a lot of the problems and just make it better.
Yeah, because
I think this is
here we are talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this is actually like a good thing, like a good way to get into like the actual show, the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Because I believe without this show, no one would be pretending the prequels are good.
Right.
I am a strong believer that this show is like the equivalent of giving you a lollipop after giving you a shot in the arm. Like
it is though.
Like,
yeah.
You're just like, oh, the prequel sure was bad medicine. You remember that lollipop though? I do remember that lollipop of the Clone Wars.
My problem is that, like, look, I get people liking Phantom Menace because that's the first one and people have a lot of nostalgia for it.
Crazy.
I know. I get people liking Revenge of the Sith because it has the cool climax to the trilogy. But you're fucking lunatic if you like Attack of the Clones. Like, that is just such a terrible movie.
But, like, okay, I'm not going to go for bad for Attack of the Clones because it's not my favorite of
Please.
the prequel trilogy. No. But I do like, they're like, Attack of the Clones is just so goofy. Like, Obi-Wan is off doing his, like, Sherlock Holmes shit, and meanwhile, there's, like, terrible flirting on the other end, and it just goes back and forth. And, like, the Battle of Geonosis, at least, is cool. So, like, there's...
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is also 2.5 hours till you get there.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing. If Attack of the Clones was an hour and a half long, I would probably be like, nah, this is a fun little romp to watch. You know, it's kind of dumb. It's whatever. But the fact that it's 2.5 hours... So I remember the last time I tried to rewatch Attack of the Clones, I was like clawing on my face, like, all right, listen. I was like bargaining with George himself like he was an angry god. I'm like, you could end this movie whenever you want. You know that, right? You could just stop. You don't have to do this to me.
I think
I mean, we grew up in this era, like the prequels, like when they were new. You know, I remember seeing the Pepsi cans with like Amidala and Darth Maul and fucking
cereal boxes
whatever.
with Darth Maul. Yeah,
find Yoda, get cash. You know, like that kind of thing. Like this is just like, to me, like this kind of is Star Wars, and then the old Star Wars movies are sort of like, that's like the retro throwback thing. Feel like a little bit of a poser whenever I'm like, oh yeah, I like those the best, because that's not what I didn't really watch those movies when I grew up. But I'm also interested in, we're just talking so broadly about Star Wars right now. We haven't even started talking about the show. But like, I'm just interested in what the fucking audience that grew up with the sequel movies, like how they are going to interpret Star Wars and see it, because that I've always thought that, where it's like, look, if kids can grow up who grew up with the prequel era, and they can change the conversation when they become adults and make it so that everybody's like, actually, they were good movies this whole time. When, like, for years, everybody treated the fucking Mr. Plinkett reviews as, like, gospel. Like, this is the definitive video that's taking down, like, this is why these movies suck, you know? And it's just interesting to me that we can get to this point, you know, in the timeline where, like, yeah, people, it's like with Pokemon, where, like, I grew up, you know, Gold and Silver and Ruby and Sapphire, like, those were the new hotness for me. Those were, like, this is the pinnacle of Pokemon. But there are some kids who grew up with, like, Sun and Moon being, like, their first Pokemon games. So that they're, like, these are the ultimate nostalgic games. Yeah. And I'm like, I was, like, 22 years old or whatever when those games. I was, like, an adult working at Walmart. You know, when those games came out. So it's like, it's hard for me to fathom. And then it's the same thing with, like, the sequel trilogy. There's gonna be a generation of kids who are like, these are great movies, I don't care what anybody else says.
It's definitely gonna happen. Yeah, and I'm excited to see
valid. I just don't like. I think if you like the prequel trilogy because it's important to you as a kid, that's whatever. I just cannot get over the like, and I say this as the only woman on a podcast. I can't get over the grown manification of these are good and everything else is bad. I'm like, let's have an open mind. Let's have an open mind, dude, on the internet about what could be good or bad about Star Wars. And I say this as someone who doesn't like any of it mostly. So, but like, I just think it's cool. Like, have an open mind. Anyway, The Clone Wars is a cartoon. This is a cartoon created by George Lucas and developed for TV by David Filoni. He worked on episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know, he also works on Star Wars Rebels later on and a bunch of other shit.
He became the fucking Star Wars guy.
Yeah, he's kind of like, he's not head of story group. He's like, he just got promoted to like some other like new head role. Like, he's not the new George, but like people keep propping him up to be. Anyway.
Yeah. But so The Clone Wars is a cartoon. It takes place during the Clone Wars. Also, side note, super funny. The Clone Wars is a perfect example of line George Lucas put in the script because he thought it sounded sci-fi and cool.
Right.
And no one ever expected to see it. And I think that's I think George Lucas is a genius when he does shit like that. When he goes, "Oh yeah, this is a turbo blaster." What's that? I was never going to explain. Please shut up. Leave me alone.
No.
And then he has to explain later on.
No, the show is full of Uncle Georgeisms.
Yeah,
it is.
And that to me is more charming than like Solo being like, oh, that's how he cleared the fucking Kessel Run in 2 parsecs or whatever. Like, it's like, okay, Jesus, I didn't need to know.
Parsecs,
I didn't need to see this in cinematic form. You know, it's just like a stupid line from a fucking movie from 1977.
Right, yeah, well, you can also make the same argument for the Clone Wars, though, because that was a throwaway line in A New Hope, and then it just emerged into, like, a multi-season TV show. But, like, to your point, Wyatt, like, there is examples where it's done well, for, like, the example with the Clone Wars, and examples where it's just, like, done poorly, like with the Solo movie.
I think the key is it needs to be an excuse to tell a story and not an excuse to go, see, you can put this on the Wikipedia page.
Right.
And I think this show does such a good job of being story focused. This show is like such a pseudo anthology in a way that kicks so much fucking ass. Going from episode to episode in the show and having it be like, so this show does something I think is neat, which is every episode, every arc feels like it's like 2 to 3 episodes, right?
2 to 3, sometimes 4.
But they all hang as one episode stories if you want to put it that way, which I think is a very hard thing to do writing wise.
That's what I mostly did when I was watching through the show, because I was like, I'm not watching, you know, like a bunch of 4 episode story arcs. And like, I watched a few multi-episode story arcs like for this, but like because I had to get a good sampling platter of all 5 of the seasons, I didn't want to get like stuck in one season for too long.
Yeah, you just want to feel like the production style of like the show and stuff like that. Yeah, I think like you should go back at some point. I think there's some like real singing that happens here.
Because I watched the 2 that I ended up watching the most of were the stuff with Savage Opress and Darth Maul.
Don't fucking scoff at his name. It's the coolest thing ever. I'm gonna fight, dude. His name is Savage Opress, dude. And you're listening. How's it spelled? Like savage, because he's cool as shit. Listen. Someone going, oh yeah, his name is Maul. You know, I wonder what like the other members of his clan are named as. And like, is it just normal names? No, it's Maul, Savage, Viscera, Feral, and I'm like, this is so stupid.
It's so George, though.
Yeah,
it is. It kicks ass.
Yeah,
go ahead, Wyatt.
I actually was thinking, like, did they ever canonize Darth Insanius? And then I looked it up, and no, they didn't.
Wait,
and then I remembered, he doesn't own Star Wars anymore. And people are really mad at Kathleen Kennedy for some reason.
They're always mad at her.
But anyway.
You don't need a reason. People are just always mad.
But the finale arc was also the stuff with Ahsoka getting canceled and the woke mob coming after her.
Shut the fuck up. Dude, I think the Savage collection of episodes and like even like to his like spoiler death, because I watched those episodes too. Savage Opress is like such a Morgan Meow Meow character that I think if you put him in a movie, I wouldn't like anything about him. Yeah. He needs to have the like, and I know this is weird to say, the one dimensionality of a cartoon villain.
Right.
Because the first episode you meet him, he's just like a little guy. He's like, I want to protect my brother, and you know, I'm not built for this. And then they like give him like super evil, strong testosterone, and he gets like 9 feet tall and like super muscles. And I'm like, oh, this is my fucking guy now. He's just like beating. He's not even using the force a lot. He's just throwing niggas like across the room. And then he dies. He goes, yeah, I was never made for this. I just wanted to be a nice guy. And I'm like, he sure did. It's like such a TV arc.
He's a victim.
And like we're like, yeah, he is. He's fully a victim. Like I know I talked about it on Blue Sky, but it's crazy. Ventress gets the redemption arc when she ruined that motherfucker's life, and it's like, yeah, now I gotta fight him with Obi-Wan because he's a bad guy. Yeah. I'm like, who did that to him?
Yep.
Who did that to him? You did.
I will say that like we talked about this, that she is much hotter in Clone Wars than the Clone Wars, but like. By the end, I was like, she is still hot. Like she is
still hot in a different way.
Yeah.
She just doesn't have the
The non-binary
like,
swag.
the no visible cleavage and shoulders. So they call them broad shoulders because they belong to women type vibe that she has, and like the Gendy Tartakovsky, because Gendy Tartakovsky is like a pervert but in a weird way. So he's like, yeah, hold on, let me cook.
He's also a pervert in the conventional way.
Yeah, he's a pervert in both ways. But this show does such a good job of like having a bunch of characters who only really exist in this.
Yeah,
I would go ahead.
No, you first.
I'm gonna say I think it's funny because I consider Anakin one of those characters.
Yeah, no, I mean this show did do a lot to like make Anakin more likable? Weirdly enough, but no, your point about characters only existing and existing well in Clone Wars. More your point. I took some notes while I was watching, just some like general observations. This show does such a good job at just like making you care about the clones. And there's so many of them, right? But all it doesn't take a lot of like airtime to just give them like a little bit of development here and there. So like you'll remember their name, you remember their history, their personality, whatever. And then, 2 seasons later, it's just like, oop, that one died, sorry. And then you feel bad.
Yeah.
It's so masterfully done.
Yeah.
It's like I love the like character design must have been so fun. I can imagine on a production team just going, all right, guy, who wants a clone? And just like, all right, I'm giving this one, for lack of a better term, the craziest Dominican haircut you've ever seen with a lineup and like lightning bolts everywhere. And I'm like, it's great. I love this guy. Like, I'm giving this one a top knot. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cruel. Yeah. I don't know if I like the top knot clone. I think he's getting fucked over. But like, it's so fun, like having all the clones and how much like they're developed. And like, I found myself enjoying a lot of the clone episodes so much. Just like, I'm sitting down. It's a new episode about the clones. Let's go.
Yeah, no, the clone specific episodes are ones where like I think this show really shines. And also, from like a technical perspective, it's so impressive what D. Bradley Baker does. Where like there are some like straight up episodes where it's just like 70% him just talking to himself.
Yeah, the voice performances are actually really good across the board in the show, and also the which there's so many fucking characters. I'm not sure if we can go through all of them like we normally do, but like I do want to give a shout out to whomever they got playing Yoda.
Tom Kane,
because he does such a valiant job at being Frank Oz, that's just like he's like Yoda has a little bit of his like mercurial gremlin-ness in this show, which I appreciate. I feel like that was missing from the prequels. Like he was a little like they didn't have enough time to really establish that he was still like a kooky old man, so he was kind of just like very grim and serious, and hanging out with Chewbacca and whatever. Like that's so like thankfully, like I think it's like the first episode of the show they have like Yoda be like doing a thing, and he's like a funny little guy, and then like throughout the show he's like a funny little guy. By the end he's a cop, but that's just how it goes. At
the end of the day, Jedis are cops. That's just kind of something you gotta own.
Did I just say Osaka? No, Ahsoka is like, you guys are too much of cops. I can't fucking live with you anymore, and then leaves. Which is like, man, what a great way to end that. And then there was fucking 2 more post-Hawk seasons for some reason.
Oh my god! Oh my god! The thing that makes nerd culture a travesty is our inability to leave shit alone.
Well, I'm just thinking because it's like, okay, in my head, I'm like, wow, okay. Obviously, this was a mid-quel between episode 2 and episode 3. So this sort of like implicitly leads it to where now Anakin is in this mind space of like distrusting the Jedi Order and being a little bit more like rage-fueled and everything. That, to me, it's like, oh, that makes sense that he would, like... it would go right into Revenge of the Sith, and he would become Darth Vader by the end of it. But it's kind of muddied when it's like, all right, here's a season where it's just like Yoda fucking around at a temple, and then here's a season we made like 5 years after the show ended or whatever, like on Disney Plus, And here you go. It's like, and in my head, I'm just like, that's like not even the same show. Like, it's hard for me to, like, I prefer it if they do like a follow-up thing that is just a completely different show. You know, so like,
I feel like, yeah, The Siege of Mandalore could have been like a standalone animated movie, I feel like. And that might have actually sandwiched, the show in itself in a better way, to think that like it started with a pilot movie, it was this multiple season long show, and then it ended with a movie. That could have been cool.
I think so.
Yeah, I remember vividly, like, there's people like, oh yeah, the way to watch, Star Wars is to watch.
You're talking about the machete order, so that's the...
yeah. Just like, watch episode 2, right? And then watch all of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And then when you get to episode, season 5, you then watch episode 3. And I remember going, this is so stupid.
Oh, do you want to hear something more stupid?
I did do it.
There is, I haven't watched it yet, but there is a fan cut of Revenge of the Sith that includes like all the deleted scenes and stuff, and includes the Siege of Mandalore, and I think it might also include like a couple of like the 2003 2D Clone War stuff. So, and it's like a 3-hour or maybe like even longer cut of Revenge of the Sith.
Oh my god!
I know, it's nuts. I have it saved somewhere, but I still have not sat down to watch it because it's a time commitment.
There's somebody made like a fan edit of the Hobbit movies where they combined the 3 Hobbit movies into just one movie, like it was supposed to be. And I don't know if that's good. I'm sure it's not good, but I'm sure it's like, it can't be much worse than the actual Hobbit movies that we got. So, that's something I want to check out at some point.
I do want to talk about like some of the cast. We can't talk about everybody because there's a lot of fucking characters in this. Yeah. But we talked about D. Bradley Baker as all the clones. Fantastic job, D. Bradley Baker. You could have gotten weirder with it, and you didn't. And I'm glad you stayed. Matt Latner as Anakin is crazy to me. That's kind of my Anakin voice-wise now to my brain. It's such a good performance, and it's such a good performance with, and I say this with love in my heart, nothing to really back yourself up with. Right. You had to pull a lot out, because Anakin's just like kind of a school shooter with a lightsaber in a lot of the prequel movies.
Yeah, especially in Attack of the Clones. I guess they did have both Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith to go off of, even if it takes place before Revenge of the Sith. But he's especially aimless, just like you said, school shooter energy, and the Attack of the Clones time period.
They had to make him a likable protagonist for a television show, and they did such a good job. He's a little snarky. He's a lot of the bits are still there. There's still this obvious darkness and I will fucking kill you energy in there.
There are moments where they really want to beat you over the head with reminding you that this man will be Darth Vader.
Yeah, very much so.
In the finale, I like that. It felt okay, he was just kind of going ape shit and beating the shit out of Barriss, the traitor Jedi, who was also hot, and I was like, this is a cool thing to establish at the end, should lead into the next movie where he's going to become Darth Vader. You want to show that this guy's actually ridiculously powerful. He's dangerous if he's let off the chain. But also he can be he has this level of understanding. In my head, this version of Anakin makes the most sense compared to what Obi-Wan said in A New Hope. When he talked about Anakin Skywalker in that kind of wistful man, that guy, there was something about him, kind of
he's a good friend.
You imagine him hanging out with the clones and having Rex be his friend and helping all these people. This exactly is that image. And it's just so useful. And I guess we just talk about on the other end, James Arnold Taylor as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
I don't know how he did it.
Fantastic performance. Yeah, him, and I also want to give a shout out to Corey Burton for doing a fantastic Christopher Lee as Count Dooku. I think he's a very strong voice alike.
I don't know, I listen, everyone on Earth has a Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Everyone on Earth. I go into a room and we all hit a hello there. But this motherfucker is just him sometimes. I know Ewan McGregor ain't voicing on no Cartoon Network cartoon, so I know that's not him. I'm like, this dude just has it. And the thing is, though, he has it so much, he's also Obi-Wan in everything else now.
Yeah.
Like, literally everything else. He's just like, yeah, this is just my job. This is my livelihood now.
Yeah. And
I'm also Johnny Test.
Yeah, and specifically for Obi-Wan's character, it's two things, right? I made this observation when I was watching. So, first of all, James Arnold Taylor, yes, amazing voice. But the other thing that really helps sells it home is that I think this show does a excellent job of like mirroring the body language of like the pre-existing live action characters, because I'm watching Obi-Wan, and he's like, you know, he's pensive, he's stroking his beard, he's like making all these like hand gestures, he's sitting a certain way, and I look at that and I'm just like, they studied how Ewan McGregor just moved as that character, which is just so brilliant.
It's wild. Also Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka. Ahsoka's voice and Ahsoka as a character is so my shit. I love that, like, Anakin is like, haha, I'm plucky and a little edgy, and I get on Obi-Wan's nerves. No one can be plucky and get on my nerves. Oh, right. God damn it. Yeah. And he kicks the dirt. And it's great. It's just, it's such a great little family dynamic they have going on. Yeah. And I love every time they hang out.
Yeah, and she, like, I know people didn't like her because of the pilot movie or whatever.
Right.
But again, like, I actually hadn't seen that movie or really like that much of Clone Wars. The only episode I remember watching when it was new was just like, I don't know, it was probably like waiting for Adventure Time or something to come on or like whatever. But it was the first episode, or not the first episode it was the first episode with Darth Maul, but with Savage Savage Opress going and finding him on the like junk planet, and he's like insane, and there's like the snake guy. Like, I made sure to rewatch that one to be like, oh yeah, yes, this is the one. That I watched in like 2012 or 2011 or whatever. And like before that, you know, I didn't really have any real point of contact with the Clone Wars because, you know, it's similar to like when I was a kid and like the Justice League or Justice League Unlimited came on, I would just be like, well, I don't know anything about this subject matter, so I'm not watching the show, you know. And then thankfully with Cartoon Buffoons, it's given me the opportunity to revisit this stuff. But, you know.
Yeah, and bringing it back to Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka Tano, because at the end of the day, the show is about Ahsoka. Like, that's just documented and true and correct. Ahsoka means a lot to a lot of different people, and I'm not immune to that. So, and yeah, this show did a really great job of just like showing her like childhood to like teenhood development. I feel like more could have been done, maybe, to like drive home the fact that like this is a traumatized child soldier, but they did touch on that sometimes with, you know, some degree of success, especially with like the finale arc when the woke mob comes after her.
Yeah, the finale, yeah. I think like there's other voice actors, like I just rapid fire really quickly. Ian Abercrombie as Palpatine, fantastic. T.C. Carson as Mace Windu, fucking fantastic.
Yeah, there's so many times where I'm like, did they literally just get the guy like with Palpatine and with you know, Mace Windu? And then I was like, no, of course they didn't. But in my head I was like, man, those sound alikes are so good. Nika Futterman as Asajj Ventress, so good. There's two specific things I want to call out. Shout out Tom Kenny for doing what he does best, which isn't voice acting good characters, but doing racially insensitive accents to characters. It was like when I started season 1, every episode I clicked on, there was a new racist alien.
Yeah.
And then just like, and you flip a coin and it's Tom Kenny. It's Tom Kenny doing it. It's just so funny.
But like a couple of them were just from the movies, so it's just like you can't really blame the show really for that.
Yeah, no,
like,
you can.
You can.
Sure.
And also Phil Lamar as Kitt Fisto.
Yeah.
My God.
That's good. Great name.
Great name,
fantastic
great design, huge Huge dick. Who said that?
Yeah.
Speaking of good names, but bad voices, Newt Raygun. That's one of the racist names.
Newt Gunray.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, coming back to that, it's just like there are Nemoidians in Star Wars that don't sound like that. So, like, it can be done.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Just like, nah, he got to sound like that. Why? I think it's funny. That's just someone who's behind the scene. Like, I just think it's funny. But, yeah, like, the voice acting just is so good across the board. Even, like, there's bad racist voices. That's just Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's bad, but it's just Star Wars. But, like, the cast, everything's so well put together. It's just so neat. And the show also starts looking better by season 3.
Oh, yeah.
I think it looks good. I think it looks okay. I think it looks good the entire time.
Yeah, I think
but
so
some
too.
people are proportionally strange.
Yeah, there's I think even to the end, there's some elements to like the animation that are a little bit wonky. But that's just like whatever. It's
You could kind of tell visually when this show really started racking in a budget, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like
I'm just saying that like I think even today, like this is like pretty good CG.
Yeah.
Animation, like going back to it, like because usually when you rewatch a CGI show that's older than like 5 years, it looks like crap compared to like now. But things have gotten so cheap now that there was like there's like a peak that happened, and then after that, you know, everything sort of just trailed off, and you get like these rare things like Arcane or whatever, which just have a shit ton of money poured into it so it can look good, and then that's it. Otherwise, like your workaday CGI cartoons, they are just made on the cheap, which is just so unfortunate.
There's also like a texture thing in the show that I want to bring up. It's not really in Rebels, but like there's like a painted miniature or like claymation quality to this. Like there's like visible brushstrokes on like almost every character. Most of all, like the clone armor.
Yes.
Is what it comes
The
to
clone
mind
weather,
the
weathering. Yep.
Yes, it looks so good. It feels so nice to just look at and go, ah, man, this is the sickest shit on earth. Like, I feel like you can imagine the toys for this show so vividly in your brain.
Yeah. The other thing about, like, the animation quality that brought up, I agreed with, like, everything that you both said. This show hit the sweet spot of, like, stylized CG that, to its credit, helps it hold up, like, several years later. I thought the special effects, like the explosions, the shattering glass, like the smoke, the embers, like that still looked pretty good for like a lot of scenes. And like the other thing too, I'm not like a dogfight guy when it comes to Star Wars, like the piloting stuff, that's like not really my speed. But like for some reason I don't know if this is a change in taste or if it's just because the Clone Wars did it especially well, but I was watching some of like the dogfights with like all the ships flying and lasers going, whatever, and I'm watching this and I'm just like, this looks really good. I'm into this. This fucks.
It's easier to animate that stuff than it is to like do it like with CGI or live action. Like I think like having like a physical model in like space on your like your computer program, you could futz with characters instead of like having to do all like the hyper, we got to make it look realistic, all that stuff like that. Makes it harder to do dogfight stuff in spaceships. Just full stop, to look as good as it does in this show. We talked about the quality of the show, we talked about voice acting, we talked about like, we're gonna talk about production later. We do have to talk about the standout thing of this show outside of Ahsoka. This show gave Darth Maul his second win.
Right.
Yes.
It gave him a life. It gave him any personality or they invented a whole fucking crazy lore of like a femdom planet that he's from.
Shut the fuck up.
It's like, you know, it's just like, wow, they really fucking, they gave him shit. Like they really like.
Yeah, and Sam Witwer ate that roll up.
He did so good that they're like, we are never calling the old Darth Maul guy back ever again.
Yeah.
You want to do it in live action, my guy? Sure. Like that's crazy. He stole a man's job.
Yeah.
Like,
that's how good it was.
He stole a man's job. Yeah. It's Darth Maul. Okay. Darth Maul has always been like the new age Boba Fett, you know?
Yeah.
Where like he's just a cool dude with nothing to him. And they did such a good job of making him a full character with things. And like they were like, what's going to make the crowd go wild? A toxic yaoi development between him and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
and everyone cheered and threw confetti in the air. Like,
I was rewatching the fall of.
Episode.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just I was rewatching the like, not the Siege on Mandalore, but like, the episodes where like Maul takes over with Death Watch and stuff, and like, him being like so fixated on Kenobi, and I'm sitting here being like, just kiss already. Like you two need to just.
I'm gonna say the first episode that they reconfront each other, like after he gets his new legs, it's just they're like Obi-Wan is just like flirting so hard with him the entire time. He's just like beating the fuck out of him, and he's just like, harder, daddy, and
you want me so bad it makes you look stupid. Like he's just like saying stuff. It's so good. It's and the performance is so good. Like it's so like kinetic. Like the way the fight scenes are with them. Also the way Sam says Obi-Wan, like Kenobi is burnt into Kenobi.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm like, dude, y'all want to fuck so bad. Just do it. Just do it already.
If they were allowed, it would have solved so much.
It would have. They would have still tried to kill each other because that's beautiful.
And that would have been hot.
It would have been anyone else's problem.
Yeah.
Like, there's something so gay about going, all right, so what's your plan, Maul? To take over the universe? I want to take over this planet and murder Obi-Wan's girlfriend in front of him. For what? Like, and then you're gonna kill him, right? Then I'm gonna lock him up in a sexy little cage afterwards. What? What do you mean you're gonna lock him up in a sexy little cage? What you talking about?
I appreciate how dedicated the show is in general to like making cool toys. Because as a toy boy, I appreciate that. Even though I never like bought Star Wars toys or was really engaged with that. It's like one episode where like a Mandalorian guy has like a dark katana.
The Darksaber
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, the Darksaber, dude.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck? That's so sick.
I feel the same way about General Grievous. He was 100% made to be a toy, and I love that about him.
Oh, I wasn't even a Star Wars fan, and I wanted a toy of him, as a kid because
I mean, like the Venn diagram of General Grievous and like Bionicle's kids is
yeah.
It's so true. Dude, also, you brought up the Darksaber is, I think it is like toe to tip dumb as hell. They're like, Mandalorians have their own lightsaber that's fucking cool and black and not a cylinder, it's a blade, right? But also, it's so tight and it scratches the specific itch in like dumb brain that I'm like, see, this is really stupid. But also, is this not the tightest shit ever? When Darth Maul was wielding it with a normal a normal red lightsaber, I'm like, oh, he looks like the coolest guy to ever live.
I was rewatching that episode with my roommate, and I said it was just like, actually, this looks sick as hell. I had forgotten how good the Darksaber looks in animation because it got like brought over to live action, and that was more recent in my mind. But like going back to watch this show and see how the Darksaber's animated, I was just like, this rips. This is awesome.
It's so cool. And just like a loser ass jobber has it, and then Darth Maul's like, okay, actually, you don't have the aura to use this. Let me get that from you.
Yeah, I tried to avoid episodes that were just like, what is this character from the movie doing? I tried to check out ones where it's like, more related to like the overall world that this show is going for, not like what's R2D2 and C3PO doing. Because it's like I like those characters. Like obviously, I'm a fan of those characters, but like I don't need to like the episodes. It just feels like fan service if they show up, or if like Chewbacca or whatever shows up. Like those. If those old characters like show up to like jingle the keys, someone like Yoda. It's fine because he has like a place in this era, regardless if I want him to, he does. So like, him and like Ahsoka training a bunch of like little new recruits. Like, that's cute. I'll watch that. I looked it up. Apparently that was supposed to be like a pilot, like a backdoor pilot for a different, like that would have been a very weird, maybe dark show where it ends very depressingly.
That's why they didn't go through with it. Yeah, no, it was supposed to be a pilot for like a spin-off, like young Padawan, young Jedi, whatever show. But they didn't do it because they were just like, did we forget what happened to all of the younglings in episode 3? And then they just didn't.
Yeah.
No. They're cowards. I think the idea of going through with it in the last episode, Anakin opens the door, is maybe the hardest shit that could have made.
It could have been
The
something.
Sopranos. It's like it just cuts to black as soon as he opens the door.
I see the vision.
We superimpose the image of Anakin showing the lightsaber while talking to the younglings, and it's just superimposed images of characters we know. Just like, oh look, It's oh shit, that's Gloopy. Why is Gloopy there?
Yeah,
No,
there's
Gloopy,
like
get out of there, Gloopy.
Yeah, there's like a Wookiee, there's like a Greedo thing. There's a
That's crazy.
Rodian.
You call them a Greedo.
I don't know what the fuck they're called.
I impressed myself watching this and like still remembering a lot of alien species names and just being like, I wish my brain remembered something more useful, but I was just like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a Zabrak, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a Nemoidian, and I'm just like, how do I still remember this garbage when I have not been like knee deep in Star Wars for like years now?
The like the Wookiee getting the wooden lightsaber.
I love that.
Was
Yeah.
so sweet. I was like, guys, I'm sorry. This is very cute. I think this is neat. I'm having a great time with the little Star Wars kids on their Star Wars adventure. They're going to be killed.
It's
but
very cute. It does remind me of like in Campaign when they would have like where it's like Trist and Jubna. Like the child versions of these characters,
Yeah.
and,
Oh my God, I forgot about this episode.
So nobody fucking knows what the hell
This
we're
is so
talking
niche.
about, but like, just very, except for that was a lot more crude, obviously. But
yeah.
'cause,
But like it's still like it's so fun. I think like I can see why this show specifically would like invigorate a like I want to tell a Star Wars story in someone more so than the movies. I think the movies can like do the opposite effect for me where I'm like I don't actually want to tell stories in this world.
Yeah.
But shows like this makes me go I feel the opposite. I would love to just like hey everybody make a clone character for a tabletop game I'm running tonight. We're going to do a little adventure and just tell them nothing else.
Yeah, and
like,
Star Wars is a sandbox like that.
Yeah, it is. And I just think they're so scared to make it that outside of like cartoons. And I think that's like the
Yeah.
bummer.
I think one of the things that rules about Star Wars over here I'm being unambiguously positive about Star Wars here over something like Star Trek, which is my preferred Star
Your mom's gonna hate
related.
you for this.
Yeah, is that because it's fantasy, there is a sort of like anything goes, or it's a more loose sort of
Yes.
Yeah.
attention to detail as far as like alien. You don't really have to think of like how logistically does this fit into the this world and lore and whatever. Like you can make it fit in, or you can like adapt an alien species that has already existed, and you can do that with Star Trek as well if you want to be like I have a Klingon, and there's like trust me, plenty of lore about Klingons that you can dig into to write about. But with Star Wars, like you can kind of like whatever, it's just sort of so freeform with that, and then it's also like just a inherently less serious or less grounded world because it's a fantasy that like there is like this fun element of being like you can be audacious with it, you can be silly with it, whereas like with Star Trek there is these silly moments of levity, but for the most part it is like, oh, this is like very buttoned up procedures on a ship, with a captain, with a crew, etc. It's like naval command in space. So
Like literally, like it's always weird to me whenever like a big discourse happens and a Star Wars fan's like, "That's not how the Force works." I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. What are you talking about?
that's so
the Force
stupid.
works however the fuck they want
Thank
it to
you.
work.
Okay.
Dude.
Yeah, no, okay, so my biggest draws to Star Wars, I'm a big nerd about the Force and lightsabers. Those are like my bread and butter. So anything that like gets into like the mysticism of it, I'm eating it up.
That's why I
Morgan
like
is
The
correct.
Last Jedi.
The Force works however the fuck you want, and people fundamentally misunderstand that, but I'm not going to go on like a Force rant. But the other thing I was going to say is oh my god, what was I going to say? Oh, right, fantasy. So, yeah, no, my biggest pet peeve, well, not my biggest, but like a pet peeve I have about Star Wars is it definitely has more in common with just fantasy than traditional sci-fi. And when people have these sci-fi expectations for Star Wars, in some scenarios, that's when you get let down. And it's just like, you can't think of it, you can't frame it as a sci-fi story because it's not. It's a space opera. It's fantasy. It has a lot more in common with like Arthurian legend than it does like your Star Trek. So you gotta think about it in that sense for it to like hold up. Because when you start being just like, oh, what is this fucking little like nano droid and like what is this conflict? When you start getting like encyclopedic about it, that's when it falls apart sometimes. You can't like, not every single little thing has to like have a meaning.
Yeah, watching the show, I'm like, this feels like I'm reading like fantasy novels.
Yeah.
But this is like a big space where I said, okay, but if I told you a war happened between like constructed golems versus an army of the clone best ranger to ever live, like that's just the plot of like Eberron from D&D. Like that just like this is all this is. Like this is just wizards working with the big army, like, and political intrigue. But like this is the most fantasy shit on earth.
Yeah.
Like, they literally go to a planet where there's the manifestation of the super magic they use. Come on.
Yeah. No, people get really surprised when I tell them that I actually have a phobia of space, and they bring up, but you like Star Wars, and I'm just like, yes, but like it's not the same thing. There's not a lot of like actual like space horror about Star Wars, like the like vacuum of space or like being out there. Like, I mean, yeah, there's dogfights, but like in my mind, that's like Top Gun shit. You know, it's not it's not the same as like the dread of just like the ever expanse of space and how scary that is.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Yeah, being like, to me, something like Star Trek Voyager, where it's like, oh, they're in like a distant galaxy, they can't communicate home, whatever. Like, that's horrifying. Like, that's being marooned like in the middle of space.
Yeah,
you know, like there's like that stress there of like, fuck, are we gonna find our way back home? What's gonna happen? You know, whereas like, yeah, this isn't really so much as a consideration. Obviously, the Force acts as like a narrative push and a justification for like, how can these people end up finding each other. I do like that the Force can either manifest as like a narrative thing, or sometimes just people use magic, like literally have magic, like
it's
like
both.
The Dathomir witches all just use magic, like they just, I was like, okay, they can cast
like,
spells.
You would think that like any Force debate would be killed when the Dathomir like which is like, yes, we can make secret potions and raise the dead with the Force. Like, guys,
yeah, we can take away your mental illness with the Force.
Is done. Yeah.
Yeah.
When they take away Darth Maul's mental illness with the Force, I was fucking screaming. I was like, this is the coolest show ever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, they just like literally reaching into his head, like, let's pull out all this trauma. You don't need it. I'm like, fuck. Dathomir witches, hit my line up. Hit me up and take away my trauma with your hand. I man, give me a weekend with like the big scary night mother. Give me
Mother
give me
tells
7
him,
hours.
yeah.
Mother tells give me 7 hours and the things will be different.
Right.
I like her scary echoey demon voice behind
Her voice
all
is
her
so
lines when she
cool.
speaks.
It's mixed very well.
It's so sexy.
Yeah.
Cool too. I'm just horny. She's so cool.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say that, like, I mean, in a way, that's what like the Stormlight Archives is just ripping off Star Wars, because they have they have this mystical power connected to the universe. They have like magical swords that can cut through anything and kill everybody. Like, it's just fantasy, it's just like nerdy fantasy writers like copying each other, which is good. I'm not saying that that's bad, but it's just like, like, to me, that's sort of the difference, and that's sort of why I'm not like super interested in checking out Andor. I know people say it's the best fucking Star Wars thing, and I believe them. I'm just saying, like, for me, what I get out of it is more of that fantasy angle. It's more of, there's like a little bit of like a whimsy to it. I'm not really into it for like a hardcore political, like, I'm not really into it for like 1984, like,
yeah, and that's so fair.
Yeah, like the political sci-fi, that kind of thing. It's cool that it can do that, but that's why I say, like, Acolyte, that's probably like the first like post-sequel thing that like made me interested. Still didn't check it out. Everybody was also like, it sucks. I don't know if it sucks because it's woke or it's bad.
No, it's Wyatt, as someone who watched it because I was horny, it's fine. It's fine.
No,
I got the impression it was fine. I watched
like,
some of it and never finished it.
Yeah, like in my head, that's how most of this shit goes. Like,
that's the thing. A lot of Star Wars is like just fine, and that's okay. You can enjoy mid things, but I feel like because it's a developmental piece of media, people want to elevate it as high art when it's not.
It's so weird. It's so weird. It like being something that like nerds grew up with is the kiss of death
Yeah.
for anything.
Yeah.
Because most of them are like, this is a 6 out of 10, maybe a
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
And that's
No,
fine.
it's not. It's either the best thing ever or it's the worst thing ever. Like this, you need to have
Yeah,
an
the-
Ambien right now.
I think you like
The Last
misunderstood the
Jedi is
homework,
not
and
the
that is
worst
only
movie ever made.
only a Sith deals in absolutes, my guy. Like,
Yeah, come
Exactly.
on.
Only a Sith deals in
But
absolute.
yeah, the Last Jedi is not the worst movie ever made.
no.
not even
You know,
close.
like that's the thing that's insane. Maybe you could dislike it because you love Star Wars or whatever. I don't know. There are plenty of things where it's like, oh, I love this series, so therefore I dislike this thing. Like, oh, I'm a big Transformers fan. I'm a big Beast Wars fan. So Beast Machines, I dislike disproportionate to its actual quality. I dislike it more than I probably should because of its relationship to Beast Wars. So I get that, but I'm not trying to go out there and say like this is the worst piece of media I've ever experienced in my entire life, because it's just like a movie where, and then every single time it's just like, well, I didn't like that Luke threw the lightsaber at the beginning of the movie, and the fucking when General Holdo, who has blue hair and pronouns, uses the fucking hyperdrive thing, that didn't make any sense. I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know what to fucking tell you.
Go to therapy. I don't know what
There's-
you want from me.
There's a
dude.
subsection
Fuck.
of Star Wars fans where I don't know if either of you have seen this, but like you'll go on YouTube and it's just like, this is how I would fix the sequels, and I'm gonna make this theory, blah blah blah. And I see those thumbnails and I'm just like, you need to create an AO3 account and just write your own fan fiction at this
Right.
point, and that would fix you.
Please,
That would
please.
fix you instead of making a video essay and being like, your opinion
Honestly-
is right.
Yeah.
Honestly, the honorable fix it fic writer versus the dishonorable YouTuber who makes
Yeah.
hour-long videos. Those are like the two. But like it's so rough. I feel like if we could figure out a way to like imprison Pokemon and Star Wars fans and
Yeah.
use their energy to refuse to just stop engaging with something
Right.
into like a power source,
To be
we
like,
would
you-
solve any energy crisis we could ever have.
Yeah.
Like if we could just like hey, here's a new Mega Evolution to some guy strapped to a chair, and like here's a Star Wars character who's a woman, and just get the energy from how
Here's-
hot their brains get.
Here's
like we
Rose
could-
Tico. Here and like
Right.
no,
Here's-
it's screaming and kicking their feet, and we get the power from how angry their brains get.
And then climate
we
change
could
is
solve
solved.
any issue. It is. We just solve climate change. Like get to say people like, hey, here's a video game character who is a woman with a shaved head, and we lock all those guys up, and we get all the energy we need. It'd be great.
Sony is making a new game. No, oh my god, no.
It's too woke. I'll kill you. Just like start screaming.
And
But,
all of a sudden, like the furniture starts levitating with the force, with your anger.
I'm like, oh fuck, it's real. But what was I gonna say? I see it all the time. People on YouTube that do the like how I would fix whatever thing, and I always think that that's just such an asinine. Like again, that's something that you do in the deepest, darkest depths of like your Google Drive
Yes.
or AO3 or whatever. Putting it out in the public and being like, this is how I would fix fucking this thing. Unless it's like I can't even. I was gonna give an example, and I'm like, no, that actually is bad too. But like,
Yeah.
it's just every single time I see it, I'm like, this is just such an immature way to
Yeah.
look at art.
There is such a profound joy to be found in just like writing or drawing or creating something for yourself, showing it to maybe like 5 other people, and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I think if you really want to do this project, like how I would fix blank, you need to get 17 people in that room, one person who's not creative at all, and have them change things willy-nilly. That's
Yeah.
how you would actually create how things are made. Because I think there's like a direct misunderstanding of how these shows get put together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not one guy who's like, my vision is king. No, you weirdo. That's not how this stuff fucking works.
Yeah.
I do want to, before we wrap, I do want to talk about some production stuff for writers of the show. This show has, direction is like done all over the place, and so is writing for the
Right.
most part. But I remember vividly as a kid, not kid, I was like fucking 18.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Watching interviews with Katie Lucas, George Lucas's daughter, talk about how excited she was to like write episodes for this. She was talking specifically about like the Savage Press stuff. Like she was like one of the big writers on like that whole Dathomirian thing happening, and there's something so neat. I remember vividly going, "Oh, I don't." You don't see a lot of women doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to just like see that and experience that, and also have like how open they were on Cartoon Network about it. I've always talked about how Cartoon Network, like the best thing it has going for it is how forward it is about who makes these things.
Yeah.
Also, Chris Collins wrote some episodes of the show who worked on The Sopranos and The Wire.
Yeah.
It really lets you know what the vibe was on this fucking show. That like they have like writers of this caliber working on this shit.
That actually explains
like
a lot for why like some of the politics stuff is actually as nuanced as it is at some times.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
I think because though, like LucasArts or whatever, Lucasfilms, not LucasArts, that's the video games. They had the money, they had the pull to be like, hey, we're not just gonna hire like work-a-day cartoon people because they work at the studio. You know, we're gonna like hire actual people that are talented at this job. You know, like actual voice actors that are like they are talented, they can do this. You know, actual writers and things like that. You know, script writers, screenplay writers, whatever, that can come in and do a bang-up job. You know, on actually creating something instead of, you know, just going to, because like, look, I love Cartoon Network. I love all the shows, but so many of the shows are board driven, which means it's literally just the board artists going off an outline and being like, wouldn't it be funny if Mordecai did this, you know? And then that's how they're written. Like that's the writing, and that works for a certain type of show. But obviously, like if you're trying to construct a long-standing narrative, especially one where you can kind of go into every episode without the knowledge of a previous episode and understand what's going on, then like, you know, that you kind of need that like skillful hand of like conveying information, TV writing, making something, you know, feel like it's like has importance or gravity. Even if like you can nitpick it or whatever, like it's got to have that feeling, that vibe. So
yeah, and Star Wars, no matter what form, whether it's like a TV or film, it's always it takes a village. It's always a group effort. And I want to go back to what Morg said about like dispelling the myth that it's just like it's one guy and it's his vision and it's his show and blah blah blah. Like dispelling the idea is just like, oh, only George Lucas stuff is good. Oh, only Dave Filoni stuff is good. Oh, only Jon Favreau stuff is good. Like in my opinion, George is an ideas guy, and his work usually only works well when he has a talented team around him to help pin him down and actually like bring coherence to like everything that he's spitballing. Even going back to like, again, like crediting women in Star Wars, this made me think of this more, you bringing up Kathy. Marcia Lucas for the original trilogy, she was the editor, and that's a big part of like why A New Hope and all of the others just look that good. So yeah, it takes a team of like really talented, dedicated people, and not like what you said, Wyatt, like, you know, just hire a day freelancers to like really make this stuff shine.
Which could make great stuff, but like if you're trying to make a show like this, you're gonna need to actually buckle down and hire. It's the same thing with like video games. Why so much video game writing is terrible is because they're not hiring writers. They're just fucking getting other guys who make video games to come in, or somebody that works at the studio or whatever. Like,
and video game writing is so specialized.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, some of my favorite writing in games isn't really like dialogue or like narrative based. It's something like in Metroid Prime where it's like some fucking weird guy at Retro just had like pages of weird lore for an alien species he thought of, and just is like, here it is. I'm putting all this like mythology and lore into the game, and then you get to like read it in like a, you know, out of order pattern and try to like put it together, like what is the story of these people or whatever. I'm like, wow, that's cool. Like playing with the format, playing with the, you know, medium and everything, where it's like then you go to more traditional forms of storytelling like your Sony games, and like sometimes it works, I think stuff like God of War can be really good, but then sometimes you get like, you can get hung up on things like your Last of Us and Last of Us 2 and things like that have like they're like this is a guy who
failings.
This guy who just read The Road and is like, I can do that, and then that's the which is, again, not even insulting those games, but just like that's kind of like the vibe. And like you said, the pseudo Hollywood thing, like that's like
you need to have like actual consultants,
doing that, where it's like, and then like you have like Nintendo games where it's like we don't care at all about the story, so like some intern is just writing the story of Breath of the Wild, whatever, and then people get mad because they're like, no, I want Zelda to be this serious story, and I'm just like, I don't know if I care that much about that, but hey, but yeah, like I think that like, I guess it just all goes back to say that like, the whole getting people, hiring the right people, putting together the right team, all this stuff is so important. It's
so necessary for like specifically Star Wars.
And just in cartoon making in general, like it's I've tried to get away from in recent years, especially like doing this podcast, of like being like, oh, this show, because this guy ran this show, that means he was like the lead guy, like the most important guy, or whatever. Like, I think somebody like C.H. Greenblatt or whatever definitely directed the ship and like created the tone of something like Chowder, but obviously all the board artists, they're the ones that are doing the jokes, like they're the ones that are like making the show come to life, and as well as like background designers, voice actors, things like that. So many things come into creating a show and making it great.
I feel like we do a good job of like talking about those people in the show. Like we always talk about like when like someone we know from another show, like sense of humor, shows up somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like talking about those episodes of Dexter or Johnny Bravo where Seth MacFarlane worked on them or someone else, and like you can see what makes them tick for when they lead a ship themselves, and also people that work underneath them and what they take from them. It's what I love about cartoons. And I think like even if I'm not the biggest fan of where Star Wars is right now, I think it's neat how much from like show running to composing, the people who like built other places with other people.
Yeah.
And I do love that. I love that web of creation when it comes to animation.
Yes.
And I'm glad to see like his other places going like all over the place.
Yeah. No, the way that this show like went on to like, inform Rebels, inform comics and novels, and it went on to inform live action. It's absolutely a web of like, it was a ripple effect.
Yeah. It's all like, and I do feel like Lucasfilms is kind of like a weird, it is a sort of like a tide pool in a way, where it does have its own ecosystem, and it kind of like grows from that to the point where like even like, other parts of the studio have like Lucas Arts and Lucasfilm have like affected one another in a lot of ways. But like, I don't know. It's still cool that something like this got to be on Cartoon Network. This is just like, this is the era where like nobody gave a fucking shit about Star Wars. Like, I know that not saying that the show wasn't popular, but it was like Star Wars wasn't the thing that everybody talked about and was,
no, it's true. Like
nerd culture is
Star
all
Wars,
centered
like
around Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars, like, I'd even go as far as to say that, like, it was kind of, like, negatively beheld among the fans because, like, there was so much ill will towards the prequels, right? So, nobody, there's, I feel like there's sometimes when people regard the Clone Wars, there's some kind of revisionist history where people are just like, oh, it was always good. And I was just like, no, I was on the ground floor. I remember the way people fucking hated Ahsoka Tano at the beginning. And, like, because, like, I was a child when Ahsoka Tano was introduced and I was a target audience. I didn't hate her. So like that's kind of where like I guess that revisionism comes from. But like the idea that like this show was always beloved, I feel like is important to like call out and squash and just be like, no. This era of Star Wars was very rocky, and the show did kind of have a rough start in some areas.
Yeah, and I do, but I think, I guess at the end of the day, I actually really enjoyed the show. So it ended up being like a pleasant surprise for somebody who was kind of like dreading going into it. Not necessarily because I thought it would suck, but just because I thought I
Just the
would
length.
not care. And I just thought I wouldn't care, you know, because I'm just like not a huge Star Wars fan. But like, you know, I'm just glad to have checked it out and to see like, and it gave me like I've always wanted to understand why people liked this era of Star Wars. And I kind of get it now. Like, I think we talked about a lot of that. Yeah. You know, it really leaned more into the fantasy of everything, but it also had a little bit more of that, you know, the politics and the like, oh, it's going for, like, say what you will about the prequels, but, you know, like, I believe George Lucas, when he says that he was like going for something with them, maybe it wasn't the best, like, or maybe it wasn't executed the best, but like it wasn't it wasn't just like, look at my stupid toys as I smash them together, you know, whereas like it kind of feels like that with a lot of modern Disney Star Wars stuff, where it's just sort
of a lot of jingling
the keys of like, remember this guy, you know, dude, you remember, oh, look at this. So and that's why I'm like, okay, at least with something, here we go back to Acolyte, at least with that, they're jingling the keys of like, oh, remember how there's different time periods than the movie is? And I'm like, yeah, that's...
like why that show also is about like the magic stuff too. The magic stuff comes up in that show.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, it's like wanting to do something instead of just like, like the fucking Ready Player One song, you know?
Yeah.
Transformers. Remember the 90s? Remember Gundam? Like, that's just all like a lot of Star Wars feels like. Like,
yeah,
it's Fortnite. It's Fortnite itself, but it's just Star Wars.
It's Fortniteification and it's Marvelification, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think that is there anything else that anybody wants to talk about before we wrap this up?
I think I had like a ton of like closing thoughts, but like I lost the thread, so it's gone, and that's fine.
All right,
we covered a lot of ground.
Maybe it'll come back.
If we ever do Rebels, we'll have you on for that.
I would love to because I love Rebels. I love Rebels a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I should say I do want to. I don't know how feasible it is, but like at some point I do want to do like guide-in episodes of Cartoon Buffoons where we just like once a month we find a show that's like not from Cartoon Network, and then we can talk about that. So instead of taking time out of a month to be like, all right, we're talking about Disney shows this month, or we're talking about whatever, like Adult Swim shows and things like that. Just like instead of doing that thing, we can just be like, all right, this month we're doing our normal Cartoon Buffoon stuff, but also we have like a bonus episode, like at the end of the month, whatever, that we're talking about this other thing, like we could do Rebels in that, for example,
or DuckTales.
Or fucking Batman the Animated Series or whatever.
I will throw my hat in the ring for anything Ninja Turtles. I am there.
Hell fucking yeah. But Kitt, I want you to know, when it was like, oh, we're doing the Clone Wars, it's like, hold on, I think I DM'd you. I have to make him aware of this because like, if there was a Cartoon Network Ninja Turtle show, you would have been made aware very quickly.
Oh yeah, I would have been there.
Not. So, but like Star Wars, this is also good secondary. You are the second person who we've had on a show who has an icon that represents the shows that make me think about them.
Oh,
like you
so
have
nice.
a Michelangelo icon right now on Discord. It's perfect.
Thank you. Yeah. I can't remember if like I messaged you first, Morg, when I knew you were going to cover Star Wars, or if you messaged me first, but like I was definitely interested to be here, and I'm so glad I've sat in this conversation. This was so fun.
Hell yeah, I'm glad you had fun
talking about it. Yeah, you know what? That's another thing. I'm just glad that we had a nice conversation about Star Wars, because that's another thing that sucks on the internet is talking about Star Wars. Talking about. Man, there was one, I might have talked about this on Cartoon Buffoons before, but like I was watching, there was a video that was like, why modern fantasy sucks, and I was like, sure, I'll click on it, maybe it's gonna like make fun of Rebecca Yarros or something, I don't know, and then it had nothing to do with fantasy novels. Obviously none of these people read, so it had something to do, it was like he was just talking about Disney Star Wars and saying, like, this is why The Last Jedi is the worst movie ever made. Like, the first, like, 20 minutes of the video, and he kept on being like, I don't want to linger on this, but he just kept on going back to, like...
I'm going to linger.
They character assassinated Luke Skywalker. Here's these interviews of Mark Hamill saying that he wasn't, you know... That he hated it. And like... Yeah.
No, when like, when I have actual, like, nuanced and mature conversations with Star Wars with like other people like you two, I feel like the School of Athens painting, like Plato raising his finger, like enlightened, like this is, it's so refreshing.
Yeah, that's I've joked about it before, but like when I'm like hanging out with my friends and we just like talk about like, oh man, remember at the end of Return of the Jedi, you know, I'm a Jedi like my father before me, then die, Jedi, you know. I'm like, that's gender euphoria, you know. That's like hanging out with the boys.
No, I did have a. It's so funny you bring that up because I messaged like a different like friend group about this. Like I was rewatching Star Wars and like there was one moment I was like eating dinner and like doing my homework for this podcast and I was just like, I had a hell yeah dude's rock moment, like just being like, I'm watching Star Wars and like like kicking back a cold one and like I was just like, this rules. This is fun actually.
Yeah.
Oh fucking yeah.
All right,
thank you for being on, Kitt.
This was so fun.
Conversation.
I loved it. Yeah.
Kitt. Plug yourself. Where
You're a
can we
buffoon
find
now.
you?
Yeah.
Plug yourself. Where can we find you?
I am on a few social platforms, not all of them, but I'm mostly at him Deanna Jones on Blue Sky, and that's where I'm semi-active. I am him Deanna Jones on Tumblr, but I've not used my Tumblr in like the longest time. But I would say Blue Sky is like the best place to find me these days. Him Deanna Jones. And yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Morgan, how about you? Where the hell can we find you on the internet?
What's up, everybody? I do this every episode. You can find me at Girl Next Door on Tumblr. I'm posting about mostly Vampire the Masquerade or Werewolf the Apocalypse. Or maybe soon I'll be hate posting about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 because that'll be out by the time this episode comes out. I'm scared. You can also find me at Blue Sky at Girl Next Door where I'm posting utter woke nonsense.
Yeah.
Just the worst posting you've ever seen. You gotta get on it quick because I did hear that Darth Maul is setting up like political attacks by evil gangs and then having an evil right-wing group snuff out the gangs to gain political control of Blue Sky and it's going to blow up the entire website. So you want to get on this very, very quickly. Yeah. I'm also some other projects that aren't out yet, but when they're out, I will be talking about them on this podcast.
Yeah.
Wyatt, where can we find you?
Oh, go on over to Twitter and Blue Sky, Wasp Ranger, WACP Ranger. I barely post on Twitter anymore, but I do post on Blue Sky too much, and it's mostly stream of consciousness thoughts, and sometimes I talk about things I'm working on, podcasts I'm doing, videos I'm making. I make video review / retrospectives, whatever the hell you want to call them, on my channel. It's Only Magic, about cartoons. I do want to give a shout out to a friend of the channel now. The person, hold on, let me find their fucking channel. But somebody made a OKKO video, and I was like, wow, this is a good video. And then she said, actually, I was inspired by your video on OKKO to make this video. I watched your video to make sure I wasn't copying your points. And I'm like, I'm so honored. But they're Nikki, Nikki at Some Features Blue Sky. So check them out. Check out the video on OKKO. I just wanted to bring that up because it's like, it's always nice when you make something and you're just like, whatever, I'm not thinking about this thing ever again in my life. And then somebody is like, actually, this thing inspired me. It's just a nice feeling.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest reasons to like create ever is just having someone else be inspired. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great. But yeah.
And I got to talk with Toby Jones about it because he was in the video, and you know, I was like, oh yeah, I watched the video. It was great. And it just brought me back to, it's like kind of like what we talk about on Cartoon Buffoons a lot, is that like missing this like 2010s era of cartoons where people were posting like gig posters of like, here's the new episode I worked on, on Tumblr.
Yeah.
And, doing all that like for Adventure Time and Clarence and Steven Universe and Harvey Beaks and all this stuff from like the early 2010s. And then that just kind of like Tumblr died, or a lot of people left in like 2019 because of the porn. And then everybody went to Twitter, and Twitter is a horrendous garbage platform. So it just destroyed that fucking ecosystem. And then, yeah, it's just like a huge tragic kind of thing. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get back there.
Well, no, we'll be back. I'm manifesting it. But
okay, yeah. But anyway,
Wyatt,
Patreon?
What's next?
Well, I was gonna say Patreon.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. $3. You get the episode a week early, so you get. What the fuck even is the next episode? Hold on, let me because it's gonna be kind of out of order because we got to do. Like, this is going to come after our Halloween episode, which we haven't recorded yet. The Halloween episode is Scary Grandmother, or Scary Godmother. So we got to record that. I realized, like, oh, fuck, we delayed this episode so long that I was going to do this, then Scary Godmother. But now we have to, like, reorder it, so this is after that. But either way, like, so that was the previous episode, presumably. What is the next episode? It might be fucking CN Rio. Like, honestly, we might be stepping, headfirst into that dog shit.
Guys, help me. I need you to help me.
Which one is that?
It's what Cartoon Network did a bunch of live action shows instead of cartoons, and they're all bad.
Oh.
Someone help me. Wyatt has me captured. I can't get out.
Yeah.
I need someone to help me.
The CN Real stuff is next. So I guess we're going to be spending November and December doing all that shit.
I'm so sorry.
Every fourth word in my sentence is the location Wyatt is keeping me. I need someone to find me and get me out of here, please.
Damn.
So yeah, $3 you can get whatever. I guess we'll just be talking about it generally, and then we kind of want to talk about because we have like people who want to be on for specific shows. Like Cody wants to be on for like he wants to talk about the roller coaster show. And he wants to talk about the Other Siders, which we can't possibly do multiple episodes. We can't do like a standalone episode talking about
I
the
refuse
Rain
to do multiple episodes.
I mean, we are going to do. I should clarify. We are doing multiple episodes, but we can't do them on. Like some shows are just so worthless and short that we just can't do a standalone episode on. But we are going to have to separate it to like, all right. Isaac wanted to be on for Destroy, Build, Destroy, so we'll talk about that. Or like, dude, what would happen? I think that was it. But whatever. Terrible Garbage is coming up, so go on the Patreon, $3. It really helps.
Help me.
If you only got $1, though, that's fine. You get Wild Cool Robot, which is me and my friend Wayne going through every single robot in existence and reviewing it, like 1 through 5. It's like 5 to 10 minute episodes. It's a good time. Check it out. There's like over 100 episodes, so have fun. So, all right, join us next time. Thank you, Kitt, for coming on and talking about Star Wars.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Giving us a fun conversation about Clone Wars. Join us next time as we get right into the maybe not the darkest, because right now is probably pretty dark for Cartoon Network, but one of the darkest eras for the network with CN Rio. See you there.
Goodbye.
Bye.